You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
Joining us now, we have John Yoo, the great constitutional expert. And John, we're so happy to have you back here on Katz and Cosby. Let's get to this new news. Did you see this? That the EU is saying that Donald Trump shouldn't be allowed to speak on X, formerly known as Twitter. He's doing a big interview with Elon Musk tonight. It's their first sort of one-on-one. And the EU is saying he should be censored. I mean, this is crazy.
Hey, it's great to be back with you guys. And doesn't this show once again that it is the best thing in the world to live in the United States and not Europe? Because Europe doesn't have free speech. Europe, I mean, these covered countries in Europe feel it's okay to censor people based on whether they have favored or disfavored points of view. And so I'm not surprised the European Union is doing it. It's outrageous because it cuts against the very principles of free speech that our country was based on, which is actually probably why all those people in Europe left there and came and emigrated to the United States in the first place for the last 200 years, because they lived under these governments that have no problem censoring people's speech.
Let me ask you, John, is there anything, does the EU even have any jurisdiction? Because it's so crazy to think that they're stopping it. Is there anything they could do to say, like, I'm just throwing this out there, Elon Musk, obviously the platform's everywhere. Can they block it in Europe? Is there something legally they can do within their jurisdiction? It just seems so preposterous.
Oh, that's a great question. And there's a lot of lawyers who are spending a lot of time on it. But because this is not the first time, Europeans have tried to tell Facebook what to put up or take down. They've tried to do it with YouTube. They have restrictive policies on what you can do on social media way beyond anything in the United States. And so the social media companies, what Elon Musk has to do is argue in the European courts. First, he'll say, I'm going to do it. And you want to fine me? Fine me. I hope that's the attitude he takes. And then when they fine him, he can fight them and go through the European courts. The problem is, the European courts don't have the tradition of protecting our liberties the way American courts do. And so he might end up paying a fine to the European Union because of his right to let Donald Trump, just like any other candidate, have the right to speak.
That's wild. John, here's Judge Weinberg.
John, good to talk to you again. What about the fact that England is now threatening to extradite and prosecute American citizens?
That was the other breaking news that you had.
It's just absolutely shocking.
Yes.
They're threatening to extradite and prosecute Americans for their free speech on criticizing what's going on in Europe, particularly in England, with respect to the riots that are going on, the anti-illegal migrants in Europe. What do you say about that?
Yeah. Judge, I think I'm with you. I mean, this is outrageous, just the way it is outrageous that Europeans are trying to censor Twitter. Let me say also, this is why there are no great technology companies in Europe. There's a reason why Facebook and X and YouTube are all American companies, is because they can't survive in Europe. Right? These are companies that make it easy for us to speak to each other, to have a robust political debate, even though it might go too far sometimes. We have rich political debate. Over in Europe, they feel it's the government's job to cultivate, if you want to put it nicely, what you're allowed to say and not say. And England is one of the worst countries. I mean, even though they are the forebears for our constitutional tradition, our protections in the Bill of Rights, they have gone far over to the other side in the idea that the government is allowed to restrict what you and I are allowed to say.
And they've created a whole body of law on libel where you can go and destroy somebody because you don't like their political or public policy positions.
Yeah, that's the thing. You will have people, you've seen it. There's many where you will have a political memoir or a kiss and tell book published in the U.S. by an American author about Americans, and people who don't like it, they'll go to England and sue the author there. They can't win in the United States, right? We have this tough absence of malice standard. We have a tough standard because we and the founders wanted to have free, no-holds-barred political speech. But you can go to England and sue American authors for defaming you, and even if you don't win, you can drag them through the mud and through millions of dollars, right?
Millions of dollars in legal fees.
Yeah, I'm surprised someone hasn't thought of, people haven't thought about suing Donald Trump over in England. I'm sure that's going to be coming next.
That's coming next.
That's coming. Yeah. By the way, did you see the latest news? This is a big breaking news day. Trump is now suing the Biden administration, DOJ, John Yoo, for $100 million over the Mar-a-Lago raid. Now, he's alleging political persecution. It obviously fits with what we're just talking about going on in the EU and obviously the UK police commissioner we were just talking about. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I sympathize with why Trump is doing that, but I don't think he has much chance of winning. In the law in our system, it's very hard to win a case of political persecution, and I mean, the odds are like below 5% that he would win that.
Yes.
And look, this is the way it should work. And it's the way it will work is he should make a big deal of this in the electoral system. He should make a big deal about it in the political system. And he should say, look what the Biden Justice Department did to me.
And John, I don't think it was the Department of Justice. I've been told, and I can't say, I've been sworn to secrecy. I've been told that it was the White House doing it, not the Department of Justice, calling out attorney generals of Florida, et cetera, and pushing those buttons.
I agree with you, but you know what? That's the way it should work in a way. The president, Biden, and the attorney general Garland, they're ultimately responsible, right, for all this. They're ultimately responsible for launching an investigation into Trump. They're ultimately responsible for ordering the search of Mar-a-Lago. They're trying to pretend, it's in the hands of the special counsel, Jack Smith. We have nothing to do with it. Well, as that judge in Florida just held, or as Justice Thomas suggested in the Trump immunity case, there's no such thing as a special counsel who doesn't work for the president and the attorney general. So I think that actually shows, and I think that's maybe the point of the lawsuit. That just shows who's really in charge here. You're right, Judge. It's the White House. It's the president. It's political people. But look, the only way you can hold them responsible, I think, is by voting them out of office, not suing them for $100 million.
I agree. John Yoo, thank you so much for coming on. And we got to save America because right now the rule of law is not the rule.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, guys. Anytime. I love being with you guys.
Thanks so much.
Love having you on.
Thank you.